All right, welcome everyone. We are Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for
Oregairu,
Season 3, Episode 6. All right, last episode we had a really cool conversation between Hachiman and Yukino.
Indeed.
Iroha kind of was the unexcited third party in the midst
wish
of this,
I wasn't
just being
here.
Like, wow, this is really fun for me to be here.
That's basically a confession.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm just going to see myself out.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. We had some clarifications about the glasses mixed up. It's something that was from Hachiman and Yui, and the reason why, she's not wanting to use them is because,
Doesn't want to depend on anybody.
Exactly. And it's not a thing that she's doing just for them. It's for her. That's why she doesn't put them on
when
Hachiman leaves. Exactly. Yep. And she's serious about this. So, Ganbate, Yukino, we're cheering for you. But oh my God, we could get some really crazy Yui or Iroha stuff coming up really soon with this all here.
Oh yeah.
Okay, that all being said, Hiratsuka is not gone yet.
Right.
But soon will be.
Right, exactly. She has confirmed that.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Thankfully, she got to talk to Hachiman, and they went over quite a bit. It was cool to see Hiratsuka in a more not really vulnerable place, but kind of being real and on the on level with Hachiman in a lot of ways.
Treating him like a peer.
Yeah, treating him like a peer, and yet also holding a little bit back, just a little bit. So I'm really excited to see where this goes from here. But we also really haven't focused on a lot of the other side characters in a while. Yeah. So we're probably due for a little bit of that.
I wouldn't be surprised.
As well. Yeah. So, y'all, without further ado, let's get into this. All right, everyone, now be sure to go check out the reaction portion of the video in the description below, then come back here for the discussion. Oh,
okay.
Another fantastic episode. This show does not miss.
Nope, it doesn't.
We have a really cool dynamic of showing a lot of the characters who are in Hachiman's immediate circle here and how they choose to basically
try and help him out.
Right, but choose their part in the progression almost towards the end of the story.
Yeah.
So Iroha very much is kind of wanting him, if he would be, willing to make the choice, just choose me, but but it's not going to happen. So she has to take fine, I'll take this then.
Exactly.
That'll be my choice.
There's also kind of something that I feel like is maybe a bit poetic about it, that Iroha and Yui both had their scenes in this episode, and there wasn't really too much that happened other than that in the episode. Like we got bits with Zamakuza and the friends and things like that, right? But those were
Yui's wasn't a scene; it was like a full chunk of the episode.
Yep, exactly, right.
Yeah.
But that kind of a thing where they're both relegated to the same place. They're both relegated to the same episode. They're both in the same kind of situation, right?
It's like in the OP. Who's front and center doing the dance on stage? Yukino. Who's flanking her? Well, Iroha and Yui.
Yeah.
Very intentional.
Oh boy. It's one of those things where I kind of feel like this show has struck a gold mine because the characters are such that I believe that they won't make the decisions that would make things easier for them because they're human. They have flaws and things like that, right? Of
course, yeah.
And that pain and that struggle is why we love to watch stories in general, but especially with this one, right?
Yeah. It's
the and the fact that Yukino is the one that will just end up having more success in her struggle, right? That's just an issue of circumstance and things like that and different variables and whatnot. But that's why we love these stories, right?
Right.
And as a result of that, when we have these scenes, like that scene with Iroha, I was wondering, is she actually just going to come out and say it? She had the opportunity, right? Hachiman asked her, why do you really want a prom, right? And she masterfully deflected, right? And
she knows there would be zero chance of success if she confessed.
Yep, you don't observe you're right. You don't observe the quantum superposition or whatever, right? Because otherwise it collapses and even though you know what it is, There's the possibility.
There is the possibility that
maybe it could change.
If we keep playing the game, eventually things could deviate.
Yep.
But I loved Iroha's interactions with Hachiman being from the standpoint of, no, I'm upset at you. Like the way that the characters who like Hachiman touch him and interact with him says so much.
Oh yeah.
It's really just so realistic and relatable at times when you see the way that specifically Iroha and Yui interact, because they're two very different people. I mean, very different people. And yet they have similarities in that they are both trying to set up environmental situations for stuff to potentially happen, but they're also frustrated in their own way with how reality is moving towards.
Right.
They can't control everything, and thus they won't.
Well, and thus they control the one thing that they can, which is themselves, but they control it in such a way that actually makes things worse for themselves.
Well, in a lot of ways, the great lie is that you have true control over yourself.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
That's
right. Because if you did, then it wouldn't be a deception.
Sure.
Then it would just be, oh, that's how it is, right?
Right.
Oh, I decide that I wish it wasn't this big of a deal.
I wish I didn't feel this pain.
And then, what do you know? Now I don't.
Oh, no, I don't. What do you know? That's just amazing. That's not how life...
It's not how life works.
Not how it works,
We wouldn't tell stories if that was how life worked.
Yeah. Iroha and Yui are both experiencing their own kinds of pain in this episode because of the choices that they are making and a specific character is making. And Iroha's just coming off of the really big low of watching them flirt right in front of her, as if she doesn't exist.
Even when she was not when she asked, but when Hachiman even made the concession / was thinking about her and specifically gave the opportunity for her to leave, and then Yukino was like, no, it's fine,
it's okay,
right? And then all right. Well,
I very much feel for Iroha in this situation because of what just happened in the previous episode, but I really do like the way her body language shifted in this episode to be very much consistently looking away from Hachiman.
Yeah.
There's a very specific set of things in body language that can tell you what a person is thinking or feeling, more so what they're feeling than thinking, because feeling has more to do with decision making than thinking does in a lot of ways, because it's a
I wouldn't have thought about it
it's a more visible thing. Basically, if something translates into your body's movement, it's based on something that's either you're doing or about to do, or it's based on action. But thinking can sometimes be about, I am processing the info rather than not necessarily making a judgment on the info that I'm making, because the judgment would be based on, okay, now that I've determined that this bench is good and dry for sitting, I will sit on the bench.
Gotcha. But I don't know.
Anyway, that's just a minor little thing there.
Yeah. But the conversations were fantastic. The ways in which we can see the characters basically struggling with the stuff that they're dealing with, and really struggling, right? Because it would be very easy for these conversations, if the dialogue wasn't handled as well as it is, to get stale in my mind, right? Because it's this is an issue that you've been dealing with for a while. Why, when there's the opportunities for you to basically take your shot, right? Do
There's
your
no
thing.
Opportunities in the Iroha conversation, though. That was the rough thing.
There's not good opportunities.
No, right,
but there were opportunities.
That's in her mind, they're not opportunities.
Totally.
That's why I was wanting to bring it up. The specific bit of the conversation here is that she's constantly looking away from him throughout the conversation, except for
avoidance and deflection.
Right, except for this part here, was when he gets a little bit vague of, we had to put an end to this somewhere, or it would have dragged on forever. We needed to goal our finish line, maybe. And she kind of goes, huh? What?
Right. Because you're not just talking about the school year or things like that. There's a whole lot of other stuff associated with that, a lot of meaning behind it. Right. And are you talking about the things that I think you might be talking about?
What are you specifically talking about?
Right.
Now?
Are you basically saying that, no, I already know the situation, of what's going on with you and stuff, and this is, that's included in the finish line.
Yeah, it gave her the vibe that there might have been a setup for an opportunity just there. Because he does say before that, this has nothing to do with it. It was perfect timing, actually, with her, like, saying, like, oh, I'm sorry I did this. Everything got so complicated. He's like, no, actually, thank you. Like, this is working out really well. And then once he says,
I see.
Like, once we needed a goal or a finish line, maybe, she goes, okay, never mind. She got all hoped up, like, about it and stuff.
Right. Positive reinforcement when she was feeling down, and then all of a sudden, you're not really thinking about me here.
Right. And then there's this really long pause where she's looking away from him again of, okay, and she's not even really enjoying the drink. She just kind of picked it because it was the only other choice available to her.
Right.
And so she's going like this and just like, I'm not really like here enjoying this, but I kind of wanted to process things with you. Oh, and then, bam, what's the real reason you're so set on having a problem? And then that came out of nowhere of like, oh shit, I wasn't prepared to answer that question honestly.
Right, exactly. Hold on.
Let me bring
the
up some
warning shot
half-truths.
first. Yeah.
Yeah. What I love about this is the let me think, which is code for, okay, what am I willing to tell him? Oh, probably because Miss Hiratsuka is transferring out this year, which is basically
let me think. Probably.
Wait, don't you know? You're working so hard for us, so it's not a probably.
Or
so
is it something where
you're
in a state of not understanding your internal feelings?
Well, no one's in perfect understanding of
no, I know, but
feelings, but she knows exactly why she's doing this.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
But even in the lie that she gives, in the way that she gives it, it's still pointing at the idea of I'm in emotional turmoil.
Yes, but he's not really picking up on that part. He then gets basically almost a bit into the banter side of things with the, oh, you care that deeply for Miss Hiratsuka?
Right. Trying to bring some levity into it. Yeah.
Right, but also, like, he cares about Hiratsuka-sensei to be like, oh, look, she's actually making a big influence in even this little first year here. Oh. And then this little bit here was just so fast. This is wonderful. Because in this minute here, Hachiman is thinking deeply for a while, but he asked her a question of, oh, you care that deeply for Miss Hiratsuka? Then after all this time, he's thinking here, and then she goes, well, I mean, I guess I do to some extent. Does that not feel to you like she's like, yeah, I care for you, yeah. Like, Hiratsuka is kind of she's practicing saying, I do like you almost. Like it's
sure. Yeah.
Oh.
Right. I'm saying I did it because I cared about this one person, and it's like, yeah, I do care about that person.
Yeah, yeah.
Sure.
And then he has the, what was that? And then, okay, let me make sure I just got this part. Because the way he goes, what was that? It felt like he was doing the whole banter thing, but she's actually really serious here.
And then she goes into saying, but that's the type of person you are, right?
Right.
Wait, weren't we talking about Hiratsuka?
Right. Yeah.
Hold on.
This was a moment that made me just go, what? What? How did she do that? Like
she almost confessed basically right there. In fact, if Hachiman hadn't been kind of like so leaning into the joke,
playful jokes,
the playful jokes,
yeah.
specifically within his own head,
right?
Because like I don't think he was even like his hand was covering his mouth, so I couldn't tell for sure. But it sounded like it was these are my internal thoughts as I kind of like just go with it. You know,
he was. I think he was entirely like thinking.
Right.
Yeah.
So if he hadn't been, and he had been a bit more like present with like exactly what was going on and the things that she was saying, then he might have been like, oh, I see.
Yeah. And then she's like, "Oh, I'm lonely. I don't really have any friends." It's like, "Wait, how exactly do you think you seem?" And then she kind of like, and he's like, "Oh, go ahead and continue." I love this bit here because she didn't say anything, and he immediately realized his mistake in interrupting her and be like, "Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. You know, continue." And then I wanted to give you, Yukino, Yui, and Hayama a proper send off while I'm at it.
Yeah.
That order.
Right. 1, you first. 2, Yukino second. Because she's the one that's closest to you.
Four to you.
Right. And then Yui, But then Hayama is last. Because I really don't care much about Hachiman at this point.
I think she does care about him, but it's not even close to what she cares about for Hachiman. Mm-hmm. And then it's Tobey and a lot of others too. Nobody, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And people that she doesn't even really remember the names of.
Yeah. And then he does this thing here that I think is rather kind of funny, but he says, "Oh, so you're a nice girl deep down, huh?" But there's still a little bit of the playful joking going on here. Mm-hmm. But remember, Hachiman, it wasn't a long time ago that you had a certain opinion about nice girls. I don't think that's where he's at, though.
No.
I think what he's saying is that, well, one, he's shown how much he's changed with regards to this.
Sure.
But he's in some ways kind of being like, hey, weren't you like always the like cunning little asshole, you know?
Exactly,
before?
yeah.
So actually you've got all this extra depth inside of you. Mm-hmm. Yes, Hachiman.
There's this side of you that you're letting me see that most people don't get to.
Right. But I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing this for me.
Right.
So that's why I wanted to have a prom.
Because I am putting a lot of effort into this.
Because after all that, that's when I'll finally be able to let go. Iroha's fantastic as a character.
Yep.
After all that, I bet saying goodbye will be really cathartic. Yep.
Yeah. And I gotta say, I really love that line because in my mind that's kind of the ultimate end goal for when you have a romance with more than two parties.
Sure.
Because unless you go into polyamory, like
polyamorous relationship,
yeah, that's
like
people aren't gonna
fuck each other.
Right. And anime was sold forever. If you don't, assuming you don't have that, people are going to have some less than totally happy endings. Right. Now, I have seen in the dark recesses of the internet many people that assume that means then that the author doesn't care about those characters.
Oh, sure.
That's bullshit.
Totally.
You can absolutely have a wonderfully satisfying ending for a character that isn't a happy ending,
ship, you know.
Because catharsis is a thing and it's powerful. It's wonderful. And the fact that Iroha is acknowledging that basically that's her win condition here. That's where she actually comes out on top, since she's realizing she really doesn't
Exodia pieces that she will assemble.
Right, or at the very least, that's the best she can realistically hope for.
Can get, yeah.
Right, because Hachiman doesn't like her, and the faster that she accepts that, the sooner she'll be able to let it go and everything,
right,
and then have that cathartic resolution. Right.
Yeah.
So. Props to her for understanding this as a first year in high school. That is an insane amount of emotional intelligence and everything like that.
Yeah.
But
it doesn't
also
stop the fact that she's still trying at times to kind of desperately hope, you know.
Because humans aren't always logical.
No. But then the whole thing of, well, then you better get your act together. Which is like, okay then. So if you're not going to choose me, you better go after Yukino.
Right,
make
exactly.
that happen.
Yeah, it's
Don't make me regret this, you know.
It's the tournament arc thing of, if you beat me, then you better go all the way.
You better go all the way. And that's literally why when I saw him have this look at the end of the scene, where I imagine him going, "Yush!" Where he's just like I'm gonna do this. It's just like, oh man, oh no.
because when she grabbed his scarf or whatever, it was done in kind of a way of like a, frustration, maybe a little bit.
Well, there were two ways she touched him. She immediately grabbed the scarf first time, but then she touched him a second time after letting go.
Yeah.
At this point here, where she does like the
very
soft,
the very
nya, kind of pat there. Mm.
So, a couple ways that I want to look at that. Yeah. One, that when she punched him, right? Mm-hmm. It was not even to call it a punch is inaccurate, basically.
We
right?
see it again in the exact same way from Yui when she takes the little pat thing, the little mat thing, and goes,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But on top of that, there's the idea that she was sitting down, right?
Oh, yeah.
Now, maybe this is me reading too much into it.
Wait.
Iroha.
No, she was standing up.
No, hold on. She was sitting down, and then...
Oh, and then she grabbed his scarf.
Yeah.
Right.
Which almost feels to me like it's an example of her relying on him, using him as support, basically, right?
Okay,
because she's standing up, right?
Okay.
And then she walks away, right?
Well, she punches before that.
No, yeah. But the scene had a lot of her basically having small body language, right? Very not just avoiding Hachiman with her eyes and things like that, but very reserved, very withdrawn, not like presenting a large image or anything like that. Guarded. Yeah, exactly.
Guarded, yeah.
There was no Zaimakuza, both hands, open wide or anything like that. And then she grabs him with a bit of frustration, but then
yeah, she let go.
She let go.
Yes.
And then she leaves the scene.
Yeah. Yeah.
Feel like there's a lot there.
Yeah,
but
it really could be, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't notice it, but that was pretty cool.
And then we have Komachi.
Komachi is just the best. And also Komachi, I think, totally accidentally gave him the idea for the two proms when he looked at the two miso soups. I believe that's miso soup. Because it's got the pork, the cabbage, and the tofu. So yeah, I think so. And then
I give up. They look exactly the same.
Right.
They're the same picture.
They're the same picture, exactly. Now, I think what it is it's the very kind thing of siblings just kind of being like, hey, I'm going to offer you something, but you get to choose which one you want. If one of them looks, better to you,
portion sizes might be slightly different. Who knows? Whatever.
Yeah, there's a better piece of pork in one of them. Who knows? But I like that then Hachiman's brain's gears start to turn, and he's like, okay, I'm an investigative journalist.
Yeah.
What was the thing that we did with graduation in middle school, or he even remembers elementary school for the entrance stuff? And he starts taking notes on the things that she's doing for middle school.
Right.
And he's like, okay, sure. So it's the kind of things where he's like, all right, these are the things that would make a good, end of the year kind of deal there.
And classic, nobody bats an eye, normal kind of...
Normal, exactly. Yeah. So he's like, now, I'm going to, once we see that his plan is to make one that's worse so that they choose the lesser of two weevils, he's also kind of keeping in his back pocket but this is how we'd want it to look in some ways. Something that maybe would be really nice. So I think there's a possibility that he's thinking even beyond the prom. Just maybe.
Okay.
Just maybe. But just something to think about. But then he ends up having just some really good banter with
Komachi.
And when she sees the prom on the little picture thing and stuff, she freaks out. She's so
yeah.
Wait,
the fang
what
is all
this?
The way out.
Yeah, exactly. And did your brain immediately go to bring Komachi into this? Sick her on mama, Yukino Shida,
It would be like a slaughtering of a babe. But
really?
In a bad way, I think, because even Yukino's mother would not care in the slightest.
Well, right, but I think it would be really impressive in a totally memeing kind of way to see her do a dramatic Jotaro point.
Objection.
Yeah, at her just
that would be wonderful.
Out of the mouths of babes, just,
right, exactly.
Just pure genius wisdom.
There is something that I'm curious though with that whole idea of doing the bad prom. Hachiman is doing this based off of the assumption that the issue is with the prom.
Well,
which on paper is what it is. And maybe for the sake of negotiations, that's enough, right? Because it's all done through indirections and niceties and things like that.
Okay.
So if the stated issue is with the prom, then theoretically, if you solve the issue of the prom, then Yukino's mother would have to be upfront about what her real issue is.
Okay. What do you mean the issue though?
So Yukino's mother is the one that's really causing this to be a problem, right?
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm not following.
Keep going. The prom, right? She's the main obstacle here. She's the main antagonist. It's not really the parent-teacher association.
Right.
It's Yukino's mom.
Okay. Yeah.
The reason why she doesn't like the prom, I would say, has nothing to do with the fact that it's an actual prom. It's the fact that Yukino's doing it. That, I think, is the real issue that she has. Because Yukino is basically saying that she wants to be independent, she wants to do things her way, she wants to have her own life and her own decisions, right? And break away from what ever her mother has been basically, deciding for her, right? As this
Okay.
is what your life will be like.
Sure.
So you mentioned in the ED that they were at a beach, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you were like, what if there's a way that it ends up actually happening? Like
Both happening.
either both happening or at the very least that the bad one that Hachiman puts forward ends up happening.
Yes, at the very least, that one has something that it becomes. But that's what I think is happening. I think that Hachiman is big braining this, and what he's doing is he's gathering the resources for a proper send-off. But even if they cancel the prom, all the resources and work that he puts into having some kind of a fun party hangout can still happen. The school can't touch that. All they can touch is whether or not it'll be a school official event.
Okay.
So I think Hachiman is like galaxy braining, and he's looking and taking all these notes of things that he's going to put into the bad event, but he's going to call it this prom, that it's one thing, so that gets canceled.
Gotcha.
But then the actual thing that he worked on still gets to be as a post-prom actual finale epilogue kind of, here's where we all hang out and have a nice little barbecue, just to spend time with each other, and we're on the beach, and it's a really great moment or something.
Yeah.
And the ED is like hey, they're on the beach, and I'm like,
Right.
oh, wait a minute, so maybe there is something there.
And I wouldn't be surprised if we ended up getting a twist that, surprise, Yukino's mom actually ends up basically saying that she likes the one that Hachiman puts together better than Yukino's.
Oh, because it's not Yukino's.
Because it's not Yukino's.
Oh,
And
I see.
And that would be, that in a way, that would kind of be a victory over the mother, because if it's something where the one that Hachiman puts forward is clearly the worst option traditionally, then that's basically her getting not admitted, not...
I mean, she already knows that, though. That's what Haruno is kind of the reference of, no, you know that this is entirely just the mom being manipulative and controlling.
Right.
Like, Haruno's like that extra insider info ally, where she's like, I can't directly help you, but I can tell you that she is doing this to be a pain in the ass.
Yeah. But is there a way that basically they could still get a victory over Yukino's mom by making it be something where the reasons by which, if the original prom still doesn't happen,
okay,
but it's still a victory for Yukino potentially because
one problem.
Yeah,
it's not a victory for Yukino. That's the issue. Is that she needs to beat her mom. Like, she needs to actively be able to do something that her mom is against and have it still work.
And that is something that I'm kind of curious to see how even if it ends up being something where Hachiman's prom gets axed and then Yukino's ends up going through as a result of it.
Sure.
How Yukino thinks about that as far as her getting that victory. Okay. But yeah, I feel like that was covered pretty thoroughly last episode, though. So
so I don't think there'd be any issues with that. I think it's the thing about she's excited about Hachiman competing against her.
Oh,
in
totally.
The spit there.
Oh yeah, no.
I don't think there's any issues with that.
It's the flirty, playful banter. Yeah.
Right. So then Yui gets brought into the episode, and were you okay yesterday? Well,
I was fine.
Yeah.
Fine. That lovely word.
They end up spending the rest of the day together. Well into the night.
Yep.
I loved the fact that at this moment when they're about to go into school and stuff, and he's just telling her, hey, I won't be spending a lot of time with you in the coming time. She's like, hey, let's spend time together. She quickly tries to
help you out.
Grab that back.
It's the thing of I will basically take nothing for myself here other than the fact that I get to spend more time with you because I'm realizing that this dream, this lie, is coming to an end.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to hold on for a little bit longer. I'm going to pretend to sleep for a little bit longer.
I love the way that we kind of get a little bit, because I don't think she's doing this to look cute necessarily. I think she genuinely is trying to understand and is like,
half calories so I can get 2. Yeah.
It's like, well, yes, but actually no.
Yeah, right? Hold on. Yeah.
There were a lot of wonderful, like, little cutesy, fun moments with that. but it was a thing of where I could feel the excitement coming from her of just being able to do this with him.
Yep.
And the speed at which she would shift back into a smile, like just pure and genuine smile, just seeing him like this. Because I think this is why she's in love with Hachiman. Is even though he's doing all this to help Yukino, like she absolutely like knows that that's the reason why he's doing it.
Yep.
She can imagine, in a lot of ways, just this energy being directed at her, just because she's in proximity to him.
Yeah, it's the thing
catching that second wind, if you
right.
will,
Even if she is not the target of his affections or his focus, it's still something where it's the wow.
You're so bright.
You're right, exactly. You're such a wonderful person. Because since Yui has never wanted something genuine, or at the very least, not in a while, right?
Yeah.
Not since things got complicated with Yukino.
Yeah.
Seeing someone who is so going after something genuine like Hachiman, I'm sure that, it's the if I wasn't so weak, this is what maybe it would be like for me. You know.
Yeah. God.
But
so
boy.
So he ends up giving a little bit of comedy and brings all the rest of the friends in there. We have that moment where she gives him that just glazed over smile, which is just I love you, Hachiman.
Yep.
But Zaimakuza is the MVP, the absolute chattest of lads to come in here, get immediately not only why proms are the worst thing to happen to high schools, and then the people in college make all these lies up about how they were the best party or whatever in high school. It's just complete bogus. But in the midst of that, Sai basically asks for Hachiman to be genuine. And this was such a cool way to show Hachiman's character growth.
Right.
Is that he doesn't shy away. And in a lot of ways, I think it's because it is Sai.
He doesn't shy away?
Yeah, exactly. But because it is Sai, and he's being asked in public, essentially, it's a small group of people, it's 5 people, but it is a not an intimate interaction here. There's a lot of people here that are, well, in an interesting way. There's one of these people here, Kawasaki, who could theoretically end up accidentally passing this kind of stuff on to Yukino. She won't. No. She won't. But I really think this was a really cool thing to have all these other characters see this. Because they all have some connection with Hachiman where they remember who he was.
Right. Yeah.
At different
They've seen him grow.
Stages and levels. But to have Hachiman respond in this way where he's not telling him the entire reason, because he's not going to just confess that he loves Yukino here in this moment, but asking for help here at this point and being okay with them saying, well, I can't actually help you that much, but I'll do what I can. And then being genuine as to why he wants their help here. It felt really special for Hachiman. Something
kind of random maybe that I thought of when you were talking about that is that in a lot of ways what Hachiman's doing here, his plan, is a healthier version of Yui and Iroha's tactics. I'm going to construct a lie. A very convincing lie. That serves a purpose. Right? I'm going to put a lot of effort into this thing that I know has no future.
Well, no selfish future necessarily.
Well, right. It indirectly could help a future come about.
Well, that's the purpose part that you were talking about.
Totally.
Yeah.
But it's the when he's talking about it to Sai and Kawasaki and Zaimakuza, and he's basically saying, "Hey, will you help me? Will you put a lot of effort and energy into this thing that will, in the end, in all direct ways, amount to nothing?" right?
I see what you're saying.
I've explained the situation. Is that something you're willing to help me out with, right?
Yeah.
And, they're upfront about like, okay, well, I can't because I'm already helping Yukino, and I want to give that my full attention.
I've got club
and things like that. But I'll help when I can.
Zamakuza's just like, I'm your man.
Right. But that's something where what Yui and Iroha have been doing, that's not inherently bad, right?
Good or bad? That's a weird way to measure.
Okay. There are ways in which what the things, the more literal things that they're doing could be potentially very healthy.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yes.
But because they're not upfront with themselves about the fact that it's deception
and self-deception.
That it's self-deception.
Sure.
That's when it becomes a problem, right?
Right.
And Iroha is probably the closest to realizing that, but it's the realizing the self-deception and then potentially if you're going to be basically holding on to something that is about to go away, right? There's holding on to it with an open hand where it's the while I have this I will enjoy it, I will appreciate it, I will cherish it, I will make sure I don't take it for granted, versus the clinging to it because you want to make sure that if there's any chance you can make it not go the way that you know it's going to go. Like, because there's a fine line between defiance and just not being able to and stubbornness,
Oh, okay.
right? Like, I don't know. Imagine if Yui was upfront with herself about her feelings, and maybe even with Hachiman too, right?
Okay.
And then they still have this scene in the internet cafe or wherever they are where they're working on stuff. And then she goes in, sleeps on his shoulder. Actually sleeping or not sleeping, or even being open about the fact that she's not sleeping, right? And it's just but I want to hold on to this moment for as long as I can, right? I don't think Hachiman would have any problem with that.
I don't think he has any problem with it now, though.
Oh, no, totally, right. But like, even if... Yeah. But it's...
Yeah, I think that there's some good stuff in what you're getting at, because the idea of both characters being under no illusion that things are going to change, really. But hope is a very powerful thing to basically feed on. And Zamakuza even drops the line straight on, as he's leaving the area. He's like, wait and hope.
Yeah,
and that's basically what they're doing. Which is acknowledging that there is really no chance that things are going to change. They already know what the canon end girl is going to be and all that.
They read the last page first.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But still, they'll wait and hope. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
But there's a difference between waiting and hoping and sustaining yourself on the hope that won't actually lead to anything.
Yeah, there's the hoping because of course, why not hope, right? And then there's the setting yourself up for disappointment that you might not be fully admitting to yourself what you're in for.
Yeah.
Right? And that's where it's not that it's wrong necessarily, it's a decision.
It's just a decision.
But it's the oh man, our hearts go out to you. This isn't going to end well the way things are going. Right. And that's why Iroha's whole line about the catharsis is so important, right? Because it's acknowledging that is a win. It might not be what I really want, but that's a victory.
Yeah. I love the way Zamakuza maniacally laughs leaving the restaurant. He's like, not in the restaurant, but that was kind of awesome.
Seriously?
But still.
Right. Yeah, because Zamakuza does not have the same issues that Yui and Iroha have. Yeah. He has a different set of issues, the thing that he's doing there, on the one hand, Hachiman's like, yeah, that's cool, but at the same time it's like, dude, we're in public, it's at a restaurant and all that. But maybe, Yui's situation would be a bit easier if she had that small dash of Zamakuza energy.
But then we have the little bit with, I believe this is, it was an internet cafe, probably because then they have these rooms for probably renting out space to use the internet at like a computer space of some kind. Because that's what I assume this place is, because we don't have the equivalent of this in the US.
Nope.
This is just not a thing that we have. Because it looks like little mini cubicles.
Right.
With numbers that I'm sure you basically rent out specifically to have a computer with space.
Yeah, and privacy.
And privacy, yeah.
Yeah, and I like the idea of it.
Yeah. It seems like also a thing of where, because, in the city areas of Japan it can get really crowded, it's probably not practical to own a PC necessarily.
Oh, sure.
So maybe
or like a dedicated office or something, yeah.
Yeah, at home, Maybe you do, but you're not, like, that's probably not for everyone, because not everyone's maybe wealthy enough to have one. I don't know. But they watch the movies of the prom there, and we have a lot of really funny banter with just it's so Chiba,
Right.
Which, okay, Japanese humor, cool. I kind of can get the idea of what they're kind of talking about, even though it's not really bringing stuff up there. But the picture with God, Mama looks so young. What the hell are these genetics? But I'm not. Don't burn me. But the fact that her knees came up at that point, just my brain.
Oh wow.
With Yui there, it felt like one of those girls do this sometimes, where they'll basically intentionally like turn pose or like do a thing to try and like, here, let me pop out my boobs and my butt.
Right, it's the
do this thing
here.
Yeah, it's the exactly. But I think what she might even be doing here a little bit is knees push up the the boobs a little bit, maybe. I don't know. It felt like one of those images here where she's kind of being like, "Hey, Hachiman, look, I'm kind of cute, right?" Like,
well, yeah, I think she just in general probably wanted to be cute. I don't know if she was thinking of Hachiman necessarily when she took that picture.
Of course not.
Yeah.
But it's just my mind, and then she's like, "Wait, no, it's not obscene. Like, come on, like, no,
it's a night pool."
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Well, yeah, but like those crazy college parties," and it's like, "Oh,
it's like that wasn't at all what I was."
Bonk.
Yeah, yeah, and exactly. Then she does the thing here, and does the most like sad just tap, and with this pillow here.
And so the reason why that tap hurts for me so much, is because Yui's in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
And while she doesn't have anyone to blame really but herself for the way that she's handling it, Hachiman is also causing it, right?
Well,
no, I know it's
she's causing it to herself.
No, right, and that's why I prefaced it with
right,
there's no one to blame but herself with how this is all going and stuff. But it's something where the things that Hachiman does both give her a great amount of pain and a great amount of joy, right? And it can seesaw between those two very quickly and very easily.
Very quickly. Yes.
And yet, if you would hope in a functioning relationship that if someone is on the regular doing things that cause you a comparable level of pain, granted, Hachiman, it's not his fault, he doesn't know that he's doing this and things like that, right? You would hope that you would be able to say something to them to get them to stop doing that. But Yui can't. Nope. So
if she could, it would just bring up a lot more pain for her. No, probably rob her of all that joy. That
she has decided that she won't.
Right.
And that when she tries, she really feels like she can't. Like she just can't. Even though technically she could, she can't, right? Mm-hmm. And so the most that she can do as reprimand is, I'm going to take this soft thing and just sort of tap you with it.
Yeah. I love the fake falling asleep. It makes so much sense.
Oh yeah.
This is
well, okay.
Yeah, go for it. I can read your mind.
If your crush actually falls asleep on your shoulder or something like that, that is one of the coolest things.
It is one of the coolest things ever.
It is awesome.
It is awesome. I will just say that, yeah, because I could tell that you were like either about to share a story or something similar, but you just kind of told the vague thing. Yeah, like I've
been in that situation
once.
Yep.
And it's
amazing.
It's amazing.
It is
but
amazing.
It sucks here because like I only
in my situation, it was a crush that I had already confessed to that I got rejected by. That also made it suck.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so
I have never had someone who I didn't like or like I didn't have a crush on do this. It was only the one girl that I had a crush on, and we had already like kind of had a little bit of a confession, you know, like we were liked each other, we hadn't started dating yet. But there was one time where I was watching a movie with a bunch of friends, and there was this girl that was a good friend of mine, lot older, like not Hiratsuka difference in age level, but close, like 5 years. And this is when I was like 19 or something like that, maybe like 20. So it's very much a like, oh, you're like big sister kind of energy. And we're watching a movie, and it's a long movie. I don't remember what it was. It was probably some Les Mis movie or something like that.
Right.
You know, it was a long movie, lots of musical
dry
stuff or whatever. Pretty dry at parts too. But she fell asleep, just like back on the couch, just And I'm sitting next to her, and I just kind of like, And at just, I leaned back, and because I leaned back, she kind of,
oh, right, because it shifts the cushion.
It shifted the cushion, and then she went down here, and she like I don't have like really like padded shoulders. She kind of bonk. She kind of like bonked, but it was because she was shorter. She like bonked here, and I was like, oh, and I was like, oh, like my friend. I was like, hey, look, and he was just like, oh, that's so cute, and I'm like, yeah, like, do you have a pillow? And he's like, yeah. So we like sandwiched a nice little pillow to put her on there so she didn't have my bony ass shoulder there and stuff. She stayed there for like an hour.
Your arm falls asleep, and you're just like, it's fine.
No, it was just one of those things where we like, put blankets over her and we just watched the movie and stuff. But the thing was, I was like, I'll just stay here. I'll just stay here. And then when she wakes up and stuff, you'll be like, oh, okay. And they were like, oh, that's so like sweet. You guys are so cute together. I'm like, stop it. Like, no,
shut up.
It's not what this is about. Just this is fine.
Yeah.
And there was something really sweet where I was like, oh, and I just kind of then leaned on her on this side there, and I fell asleep as well. And that's just happened. And to this day, that was one of the most like wholesome moments I've ever had with a person, because there was no attraction or anything there at all. It was just like, oh, we're just just leaning on each other.
Yeah.
And just the pain that must be going through Yui in this moment. I was just like, of course she fake fell asleep. Yes, of course she did.
Like like pretty much as soon as it happened, I was like, wait, that seemed sudden. Did she fake that? Yeah. And then she, we hear her internal thoughts, and it's like, of course she did.
So please don't let it end with the fiend,
Right.
Like the end of a play or a movie.
I hope.
All right. Well, y'all, this was a fantastic episode. Really good stuff. Lots of just good gut-wrenching pain. But, that's it.
There's a part of me that's like, okay, I'm very much looking forward to the future episodes of the show, and I'm also not ready for the show to be over and things like that.
Please don't let it end, right?
At the same time, though, all that being said, I feel like that way, once I'm also looking forward to the ending now, just so that Yui and Iroha can basically get to that point, hopefully before the end of the show, so they can have that full catharsis moment where they get kind of put out of their misery, Because watching episode after episode of just the pain that they're going through.
Yeah.
I don't know how much more of it I can take.
Yeah. I can't imagine what it's like for you, because I have a lot of attachment to Yui. I love her character fantastically. She's wonderful. But like, you've like identified. You've like
because
you've like really like extra. I'm like 98% attached. You're like 110% attached.
Well, because the way that Yui acted in the first season, really, that was awesome, right? Because it's there can't be courage without fear.
Oh.
And
okay.
And I think this is why I like Yui more than Yukino, is because Yukino is such a paladin that while she does have the weak like spots in her armor basically that she needs to work on, and now she's working on them, right? And it's like, okay, awesome, and that does take a lot of courage to do, because that's one of the few places where she's weak, you know?
She's actually being willing to change.
And she's being willing to change.
Yui's not.
But Yui
Yui's like the opposite of courage. She's scared. She's going to ignore reality.
No, totally.
Yeah.
But with the introduction that we got with her in the first season, that was like completely different, right? You know,
she got beaten down over the course of the story.
Yep.
Because she wasn't willing to make the move earlier when she probably had the chance.
Well, no, she got beaten down by Hachiman.
Well, yeah.
And
then, everyone got beaten
then,
down by Hachiman.
Well, not really.
Well, no.
Really.
I mean, like a lot of everyone had to deal with Hachiman's BS through the earlier parts of the season.
And she was so courageous in that sense throughout the first season, right? And then now it's now that it's at a time where that energy that she used to have might have actually been able to go appreciated. It might have actually been rewarded. Right, exactly.
Her timing was off.
Yeah, okay. Essentially.
That's an interpretation.
And now it's the tragedy of, if only you could have held on to that, basically, right? You were doing so good, right?
Yeah.
And now it's the I just want her to be able to face this nasty beast that she's dealing with now. I
still feel like it's more of a thing of where she missed her chance.
Totally.
She missed her chance, and that's not Hachiman's fault. That's on her. It would have changed things dramatically. In the same way that Iroha kind of didn't know that she liked Hachiman. If she did like Hachiman immediately, and she had shot her shot like way back in season 2, I think she would have had a pretty decent chance.
I think in the Yui situation, season 1 is Hachiman's fault, season 2 is Yui's fault. You know, and season 3, you know, but
maybe.
Yeah.
Well, y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get on early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access, so you can chat with us in the community there about this show, about anime in general, and also be sure to check out our Twitch channel.
We stream every weekday. The info's in the description.
Yeah, so if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.